On 9 June 2025, Ervin Yeo, Chief Strategy Officer of Capital & Group, published a detailed LinkedIn post addressing growing concerns over rising retail rents in Singapore. Responding to calls for rent caps and foreign ownership curbs, Yeo cautioned against reactionary policies. In his post, titled "Put Down the Pitchforks for a Moment and Hear Me Out: Perspectives on Singapore Retail," he warned that rent suppression could backfire. The flip side of rent control, or pure turnover-tied rent, is what we see in rent-controlled hawker centers. Rents may be just a few $100s, so storeholders open as and when they feel like it, he wrote, adding that this erodes customer trust. Yeo argued vacancy taxes would have limited effect, as landlords are already incentivized to lease swiftly. He also cautioned against protectionist sentiments targeting Chinese brands, which often scale rapidly through centralized logistics and efficient operations. Urging Singapore to retain its bring-it-on mindset, Yeo advocated for open competition to drive quality and innovation. Instead of rent controls, he proposed a temporary reduction in the development charge to encourage urban rejuvenation. Citing rising land prices and a maturing economy, Yeo noted that land now accounts for 70% of development costs. He stressed that rent is downstream of land values, not a standalone issue. Retail rents, Yeo noted, remain below pre-pandemic levels, with URA data showing a 22% drop from the fourth quarter of 2019 to the first quarter of 2024. He highlighted occupancy cost as a better gauge of affordability, with CapitaLand and Fraser's REIT malls averaging 17.1% and 16% respectively. He clarified that 8.8% rental reversion in 2024 reflects modest increases, not steep hikes, and called for a more strategic national conversation on retail sustainability. In a LinkedIn exchange, Jeremy Tan questioned occupancy cost as a fair rental metric, arguing it favors big tenants and ignores renovation costs. He criticized landlords for passing on GST hikes and higher yields, calling it classic landlordism. Tan asked if the government should build more low-cost HDB commercial spaces. In response, CapitaLand's Ervin Yeo clarified that his OC data is public and below pre-COVID levels. He noted managed mall rents include services, unlike strata units, and urged a deeper discussion on capital values and land pricing frameworks to ensure fairer, more sustainable retail environments. Dominic Ong, CFO of Viva Foundation, argued that a stable occupancy cost ratio doesn't guarantee rental sustainability, as businesses may pass costs to consumers, fueling inflation. He linked rising rents to escalating land prices and questioned how the government could moderate them. In response, Ervin Yeo agreed that land costs are the root issue and emphasized the need to distinguish between real and nominal rent growth, noting that real increases often lag due to inflation. Metro CEO Ervin Yeo called for stronger alignment between landlords and tenants, advocating rent models with ramp-up periods for niche concepts. While acknowledging landlords' pressures, he noted varying retail cost structures and highlighted manpower shortages as a shared challenge. He proposed joint staffing solutions and upskilling initiatives, and urged an ecosystem-based approach with shared KPIs, integrated loyalty programs, and co-created marketing to foster sustainable success in Singapore's evolving retail landscape. PSP volunteer Stella Stan Lee voiced concern over rising rents displacing socially meaningful spaces like music studios and elder care centers. She urged retail planning to consider societal impact, not just profits. In response, Ervin Yeo acknowledged the sentiment, likening mall tenancies to condos with bundled services. He added that vibrant areas like Tiong Bahru thrive on tenant participation in the local vibe, while others, like Holland Village, struggle to maintain cultural vitality. HR Executive Anson Tan welcomed Ervin Yeo's intervention, but cautioned that average occupancy cost figures often obscure the acute struggles faced by smaller businesses. He argued that tenants should not be penalized for landlords' speculative land purchases and questioned whether rising footfall consistently translates into higher revenue. Yeo responded that his intent was to foster constructive discourse, explaining CapitaLand's rental strategy as a balanced economy rice approach aimed at tenant diversity. While Tan acknowledged the theoretical value of trade mix strategies, he warned that deep-pocketed brands increasingly dominate, risking the erosion of Singapore's unique and culturally vibrant retail landscape. Former F&B operator Kai Gui highlighted that tenancy costs extend well beyond base rent, citing additional charges such as gross turnover rent, advertising and promotion levies, service charges, and pre-opening costs like licensing and design approvals. He questioned whether these are accurately reflected in occupancy cost figures. Yeo clarified that OC calculations typically include base rent and GTO, but exclude A&P and service charges, as these are not classified as rent. He defended them as standard features of managed malls, akin to condo maintenance. Both agreed on the need for greater transparency to support informed business decisions.